Yeah, good morning, guys. Welcome to today's episode of Introduction to Python Programming Language. Today, we'll be working with break statements, continue statements, for loop and range functions, and importing modules. So let's start with break statements. So, what do we understand by break statements? So, break statements. This is a shortcut to getting the program execution to break out of a while loops clause early. If the execution reaches a break statement, it immediately exits the while loops clause. In code, a break statement simply contains the break keyword. So let's try and show ourselves. Let's show ourselves an example of a program written with break statements. So we're writing a program to ask for our name. So after asking for our name, we have initiated the name to be equals to a particular string, and once we got the string right, it prints thank you. So let's go to our code, our PyCharm, and start writing the code. So now making use of the while statement. So say while true. Don't forget a double colon. Print. Please type your name. After that, we initiate our name to accept input, and we say if name is equals to your name, then it should break. Then print thank you. So basically, what we're expecting from this program is that we are expected to type the name, and this is just like an annoying while loop. We are trying to break out of the loop. We are trying to use the break statement to break out of the loop. So basically now, when you enter anything different from your name, to be going back to the print statement, the first print statement, and still asking us to type our name. So, and when the condition is met, it automatically goes down to the last print statement and prints thank you. So let's see how this works. Let's run the code and see. So we're having an error here. So let's run it again. So you can see now it says please type your name. The moment you type your name, let's say my name now, ABEEB. It says please type your name once again. The reason why is that our program wasn't expecting our name. It was actually expecting your name. That the statement your name. Because you can see from our if statement here, we initiated the name to be equals to your name. So the actual value that our program is expecting for us, the actual input that is expecting for us is the your name statement. So now the moment I enter your name, it says thank you. So this is like an annoying while loop. So you can see the work of break. The moment our condition is not met, it goes back to the first statement again, and it goes on and on until the condition is met. So that's that about the break statement. So now let's talk about the continue statement. So the continue statement, so for the continue statement, like break statements, continue statements are used inside loops. When the program execution reaches a continue statement, the program execution immediately jumps back to the start of the loop and reevaluates the loop's condition. This is also what happens when the execution reaches the end of the loop. So what the continue statement basically do is that the moment you get to a particular condition and the condition is not met, it goes back to the beginning. Let's say we have more than one condition. Let's say we have two to three conditions. So the first one is met, the second condition is met as well, but the third one is wrong. So it will automatically go back to the beginning and start executing again. That's how continuous statements works. So let's show us as an example of a program that makes use of a continuous statement. So we're writing a program that asks for our name, that who is this? It's just like it's something similar to a login program. So it asks for your name. If your name is equals to the initiated name to the that has been initiated on the program, it continues and goes to the password. It asks for your password, and the moment the password is correct, it prints access granted. So if the password is not correct, it goes back to the beginning again and asks who is this again. So let's try and see how this works. Let's write a code to do that. So let's delete this. Start by writing from the start. So let's say while true, print who are you. I will say name equals to input. So then we'll start with our if statement. Say if the name is not equals to this particular name, let's say ABEEB, then it should continue. Then we'll print hello ABEEB. ABEEB, and ask for the password. What is your password? What is your password? So now let's try and give ourselves an int. Say the int is something like sword or fish. Int. Let's say int your password. So I know my password. So that is the normal thing. You should know my password. So say password is equals to what? Is equals to, let's say let's make use of okay. Let's say ABEEB boy. So that's my password. So say my password is this. Okay, sorry. We need to password should be equals to input. We need to accept our password. So after that, I'll write another if statement that if password is equal to this is equals to my password, which is ABEEB boy. Then we make use of a break statement, and next thing we do is we print access granted. So this is our program. So say from while loop, so while the statement is true, you print who are you, so and ask for and taking the name. So the moment the name is equals to the same name that the program is expecting, which is ABEEB, it continues. After that, it prints hello ABEEB, what is your password? It asks for my password, and I put an int there that is my password, your password. So I should know my password. So and it takes in, write the program to take in the password. So and if the password is actually equals to my password, which is ABEEB boy, then break and continue and print access granted. So let's run this and see how it works. So let's run this. It asks for my name. Who are you? So let's say now I enter a wrong name. Let's say Joe. So you can see it doesn't continue, it goes back to the first statement and print it again. Who are you? I enter a different name again, still asks for my name again. So the moment I enter the right name, it continues, it goes to the next statement and print it. Hello ABEEB, what is your password? Your password. So the next thing now is to enter my password. So I enter my password by typing the password. So for now, let's enter a wrong password. Let's say we enter something like ABEEB, same ABEEB as the password. So and see what will happen. So the moment you press enter, you see it goes back up to the first statement again and asks for who are you again. So you can see how this works. So it goes back to the beginning and asks for the name again. So now let's enter the right name, the right things, and see how it goes. So let's say enter the right things. So ABEEB, okay, the A should be in capital letter, ABEEB. So it asks for my password and I say ABEEB boy, and we continue to see access granted. So we are in. So that's how continue and break works. So now we've understand how break and continue works, and we've been able to apply the break statement and we are able to apply the continue statement with the break statement as well. So we are able to understand very much how continue and break works. So now the next thing now is to talk about the for loop statements with range. So let's talk about that. So let's talk about the for loop and the range. So the while loop keeps looking. So you can still remember the work of the while loop is that it keeps looping while it continue while the condition is true. Yeah, the moment the condition is true, the while loop continues working. So which is the reason for its name. So while this is true, then do this. So it continue doing it on and on until the condition is not true anymore. But what if you want to execute a block of code only a certain number of times? Let's say for instance now we want this particular code to run for, let's say, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, 1000 times, on and on. So you can do this with a for loop statement and the range function. So you can make use of the for loop and the range statements together so as to execute a block of code at a certain number of times. So so in code, a for statement looks something like for I in range, let's say 5. So for I in range this, then do this. So that's how for loop works. So we'll show ourselves an example of how this works so that we'll be able to understand better. So now for our for loop, yeah. So for our for loop now, let's say we want to print a number. We want to print 5. Okay, let's try try this. Yeah, let's try this example. So we say for I in range something. Let's go to our Python. So let's delete this code and write a new code. We say for I in range, let's say 10. In range 10. So says print I. For I in range 10, print I. So it's going to print all the values in range 10, between 0 and 10. It's going to print it for us. So let's run this code and see how it works. Sorry, we made a mistake. Don't forget adding a. So let's run this and see how it works. You see, it started printing from 0 up to 9. So one thing we need to understand about Python is that Python starts counting from 0. Counting of Python starts from 0. So the 0 is the first index, 1 is the second index, 2 is the second index. So we need to understand that when we get to list, we'll explain better and you guys will get to understand how Python counts, how it counts its index. So it starts from 0 and goes down to the last number. So it's automatically neglect the last number. So you can see on our program here, we have for I in range 10. For I in range 10. So it's going to print from 0 up to 9 and neglect 10, because what to understand is that we have to print 10 numbers, and the 10 numbers starting from 0, you can see if we make 0 to be 1, 1 to be 2, you can see that our 9 will be index 10. So it's actually complete. It is completed. So we're having 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how Python counts. So that's how Python counts. It doesn't start from 1. Python starts counting from 0. You need to understand that very well. So that's how for loop works. So for loop can actually apply for loop to to lists and some other things. So let's show ourselves an example of a for loop with a for loop statement applied on a list. So let's say we have this. Let's say we have friends is equals to list of names. So let's say are they bio and lastly we have Tunde. Let's say we have Tunde. So now we have a list of friends. Ade, Bayo, Tunde, they are all friends. So we have their name in a list. So we want to print out the names. Like we want to print out one by one. Like we want to print it out Ade, Bayo, Tunde. We don't want to be writing it one after the other. Might have thousands of names in a list. I want to print everything out sequentially. So you can do that with Python by making use of our for statement, for loop statement. So now say start with our first for loop statement. Say for I in friends. Now friends stands as our range now. That's what we want to print out. Is the range of the friends. So friends, for I in friends, print I. Let's run this and see how it works. You can see we have Ade, Bayo, Tunde. So it's just like it's the same thing the way the first program runs. In the range of 10 now, we have from 0 to 10. 0 to 10. So it automatically prints from 0 to 10. Don't forget Python counts from 0. So on this one now, our first index here, Ade, which is Ade, which is on the first index, is on index 0. Bayo is on index 1. Tunde is on index 2. So when we get to list, we get to understand better how indexing works. So that's that about that one. There's another thing about for and range, for loop and range. So let's say for instance now we want to print our numbers in interval of, let's say for instance now, even numbers. Let's say so we can do that by saying for I in range. So we enter the interval that, okay, from 0, okay, we want to print between numbers between 3 and 6. We are printing number from 3 to 6. Then we are going to enter 3, which is the first number. Python will count that. Start from 3, comma, we add comma to it, and 6 is the last number that we want to print. So, and don't forget is that Python used to eliminate the last number. It won't print out the last number that you entered. So if we want our program to print out the 6, then we enter 7 instead. So when the Python program starts running, it stops on 6. So let's run this and see how it works. So let's run it. So you can see we have 3, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't print 7. It won't print 7. It starts on first 3 and stops on 6. So that's that. So another thing is that, let's say for instance I want to print the even numbers, or let's say you want to print the odd numbers. So you can say from, let's do for even number first. Let's say 0 to 10. So between that, you now say comma 2. Let's run this and see how it works. You can see we have 0, we have 2, we have 4, we have 6, we have 8. So it actually prints the even numbers alone in range of 2. So if it is the odd numbers that we want now, so we can just start this from 1 and we run it and see how it works. You can see we have 1, we have 3, we have 5, we have 7, we have 9. So that's that. So at your own leisure time, you can try for prime numbers by applying all the things that we've used, the for loop, the while, the if statement, and others to it, and try and see if you can achieve a prime number. So that's that about that one. So we are done with for loop. I hope you understand. So the next thing we are going to talk about is the importing modules. Yeah, we need to understand how to import modules. Yeah, that's very important. It's one of the most important things in Python. So importing modules. All Python programs can call a basic set of functions called built-in functions, like the print statement that we've been talking about, the print, the inputs that we've been using, the length. You've used length before. Functions, you've been seeing it before. So Python also comes with a set of modules called the standard library. So we have the standard library. Each module is a Python program that contains a related group of functions that can be embedded in your programs. For example, we have the math module as mathematics related functions. So if you call the math modules, it actually gives us all the mathematical related functions that we might be needing, except the advanced one that we might need to write for ourselves. We can actually write a function to do something as well. When we get there, we'll do that. So we have the random module as random number related function. So it can be used to print random numbers, things in randoms and the likes. So before we can actually call a module, a function, before you can call it, there are some things that we need to understand. You must import the module with an import statement. So in code, it's just like the import keyword, the name of module that you want to import, and optional more modules names as long as they are separated by commas. So what you are saying now is that we can import a lot of modules. All we need to do is just add commas at the back. Don't forget the import statement. That's the first thing that we need to do. After the import statement, then we name the module. The name of the module is followed. Then if we want more modules, we can just add comma and keep calling the names of the modules. So the moment we call the modules, it's automatically on our program and we can make use of it. So now let's try and make use of the random statement, the random module. So we want to print 5 numbers. So let's write a program to print 5 numbers. To print 5 numbers between 1 and 10 in a random way. So we want to print 5 numbers randomly between 1 and 10, or let's say between 1 and 20. Let's print random numbers between 1 and 20 and see how random module works. So let's make use of that as an example. So let's try it. So the first thing we need to do is to call the import statement. We'll call the import statement. So let's delete this. So we'll call the import statement, and then we call the name of the module that we want to make use of. We want to use random. So we've been able to call the module that way. So the next thing now is to write our for statement. Start our for statement. So we say for I in range 5, we want to print 5 random numbers between 1 and 0, between 1 and 20. For I in range 5, to the next line, then we say what? We make use of our random statement here by saying print random dot randint. You can see it there. So we enter the ranges of the numbers, like between the numbers, the range of numbers that we want to print the random number from. So we want to print between 1, or let's say between 0, 20. So let's run it and see how it works. So you can see we have our random numbers. We have 12, we have 20, we have 4, we have 2, we have 10. You can see you can actually use this as a game. Okay, fine. Pick a random number, pick 2 random numbers between this range. Okay, so let's run it. Let's write a code for it, and you keep running. The winner, if you got, like, let's say out of the 5 numbers, you got like 3 or 2 or 3 right, then you won. So you can just pick a random number before you run the code. Let's say I just pick, like, okay, let's say for the next one now, let's run the program again. So I'm picking 2 okay, out of the 5 random numbers, I'm saying 10 will be there, 5 will be there, and let's say 3 will be there. Don't forget to write it down. Say 10, 5, and 3. So let's run it and see what we got. Actually, okay, I got just 1 right. I got 10 right. So 5 is not there, 3 is not there. Okay, let's run another one and see if I will have my lucky number. So you can see we have 0, we have 18, we have 13, we have 19, we have 3. You can even see that I got almost everything wrong. So you can see it's actually interesting. Programming is really, really interesting. So that's that about importing module. So we have different type of modules. We have random, we have the math module, we have the system module, we have many modules. So you can just go online and search for Python modules and read about modules and get to know more about modules and make use of different modules for different functions. So that's that about modules. So now let's go down to the function. The function. So what exactly is function? How do we write function? What's the benefit of function? So let's talk about that. So it's actually interesting. So Let's start by saying you are already familiar with the print. We have input and we have length. You know, those are the functions. They are functions. They are inbuilt functions on Python. They comes with Python, like they come with it automatically. The moment you call them, you are allowed to make use of them. You use them the way you like. So they are inbuilt Python function. So Python provides several built-in functions. You can go online and search about Python built-in functions. You will see Python has lots of inbuilt functions. But a function is like a mini program within a program. So just like you writing a program and adding another mini program to it, that's a layman definition of a function. Function is like a mini program within a program. To better understand how function works, let's try and create one and see how it works. So there are some things that we need to take into consideration when writing a function. Def statement is very important. We need to understand that the first thing we need to do to write a function is to make the def statement. After the def statement, then we make use of parameters and we call it. We return the values. We must learn how to return the values. So after doing everything, we return the values, and that's that about function. So let's show ourselves an example of function. Let's write a simple function first before we now make use of an example of. We'll first write a def function that says just says hello, takes as our name and says hello name. You get. So after that one, we now do another example. Write an exponent function. So on the exponent function, we will be able to make use of the return statement. So we get to understand how function works, and we'll stop there for today. So let's go to our PyCharm and now let's start coding. So the first thing that we need to do is that, okay, we need a def statement. That's the first thing you need to write when defining a function. You write def followed by the name of the function. The function I want to write here is the hello function. So, and the next thing is our parameter. So what's our parameter? Our parameter is the name of the person that we want to call. So you follow that with a double colon. So go to the next line and print hello plus name. Yeah, that's very important. So after doing this, the next thing is to do what? Is to call our parameter. So call our parameter by making use of the by calling the function. So we know our function name to be hello. So we just say hello and we put the name here. The name we need. So now basically you can actually do it like this, that okay, let's do a static one. Let's say hello ABEEB. Let's say hello ABEEB and run this and see how it works. So you can see, okay, we have an error. Say name ABEEB is not defined. So name ABEEB is not defined. So okay, so let's make use of a static. Let's make it dynamic. So here up here, let's make a print statement and says please enter your name. And what's that, my name? So we need to call a function that thinks that will take in what's it called, our inputs, and that's the input statement that we'll be making use of all this way. So we say our name is equals to input. What am I typing? Inputs. And what's the next thing? I think that's all. Let's run our code and see how it works. So we have the please enter your name. So what's my name? I say ABEEB is my name. I see hello ABEEB. So let me try and okay. So let's run it again. So please enter your name. I say my name is ABEEB. AFOLABI. You see hello ABEEB AFOLABI. So you can see the work of function is just the work it does now is that anything name, write a function to just be saying hello. So anybody that enters his or her names now, it automatically greets the person. Hello ABEEB, hello this, hello that. Sure you get. So that's how function works. So just like the input function as well. The input function has been written to get in a string. So that's the work of the input function. The work of the print function is to print anything entered inside it. So, and the work of my own hello function is just to greet the person. Hello. The moment you enter your name, just say hello, your name, hello this, hello that, hello ABEEB. So that's it. You know what functions does now. So let's write an exponent function. So an exponent function. So basically what it does is that to make a power of something, let's say 2 raised to the power of 3, and this gives us our result. So let's write that. Let's start by writing this. So we want to write an exponent. Let's make a comment. So to make comments, I don't know maybe we've talked about comments before. So we have 2 types of comments. We have the hash, a single line comment, which is this, makes use of hash, and you write anything you write there won't be run. Any comments, any commented line will not be printed out, and it won't affect our program. So it's just basically programmers make use of comments just to make their code understandable, to be able to be understood. Even though the moment you push out codes there, we have different repositories. We have online platforms whereby when programmers have errors, they go there and search and get and get solutions from. We have Stack Overflow, we have GitHub, we have numerous platforms whereby programmers goes there and search if they have any error and they get solution from it. So if you comment your code, another programmer will be able to read your code and understand, okay, what does this code does. Okay, yeah, for instance now, this is what I want to do now. I want to write a code for an exponent function. So just say a code exponent function. The moment another programmer sees the comment, understand that, okay, yeah, this is a program for an exponent function. So gets you understand and see that, okay, I might need something from this, and gets out and make use of it. So that's that about that one. So we have a single line comment and we have a multiple line comment. So the multiple line comment is make use of this. So anything written within this will not be printed out. So it's used for a multiple line comment. So that's that about that one. So now let's write our exponent function. Yeah. So we start by defining our function. Def raised underscore to power okay. So we enter our parameters. We have the base number, we have the power number. So our base number is just like 2 raised to power of, let's say anything, let's say 4, 5 or so. So the base power will be the 2, the power will be the 3, or any other numbers that you want to make the power. So we make the base number, comma the power number. So now define this. So this is our def. So this is our function. The function name is raised to power 1 0. is raised to power. Our base number, our parameters are the base number and the power number. So the next thing now is that make our results, you initiate our result to be equals to 1. That's our result. So now start with our for statement. For index in range power num, sorry, I made a mistake. Power num, yeah. So results will be equals to results times base number times base num. So, and the next thing we do is to return results, and we print raised to power base number. So we enter our base number here. Is that 2 comma? So let's say we want 2 raised to power 3. So now our 2 raised to power 3 will be what? Will be equals to 2 times 2 times 2. That will be 3. So now let's make use of this example to explain our code. So we have the def function we have the def statement which initiates our function. We have the raised to power, which is our function name. We have the base number and the power number, which are the parameters. So we initiate our result to be equals to 1. Result that we want to be equals to 1. Anything multiplied by 1 will always be equals to 1. Get that right? Anything multiplied by 1 will always be 1. So we can't make use of 0. If you use 0 here, our answer will always be 0. So we initiate it to be 1. So for index in range power number, so our power number is 3. So in range 3, the index in range 3. So to count 1, 2, 3. So it's going to do it 3 times. So result will now be equals to result. That will be 1 times the base number. So our base number here is equals to 2. So it says 2 times 1. The moment our this for loop statement runs for the first time, at that first time it's going to count 2 for 1. So now be result, that will be 1. Result is initiated to be 1. That will be result will be equals to 1 times base number, that's 2. So our result will now be stored to 2. So now the value in the result will now be equals to 2 now. So it goes back again and run for the second time. The for loop runs for the second time. And the second time it runs, our result will be equals to 2 times the base number again, that is 2. It goes up again and check. So it's running for the third time. That will now be 4 times 2, which will now be equals to what? Now be equals to 8. So what we'll be expecting now is that we'll be expecting 8 as our value. So let's run it now and see how it works. Run. See, we have 8. Let's change this 3 to 4. We should have 16. Run it. We have 16. So let's change this 3, switch 2 to 3, and run it and see how it works. See, we have 81. So okay, now before we end our class for today, I would like to give us what's it called, an assignment. So, and I will solve it before we start the next class. So basically what we are going to do is that I want us to make this program a dynamic program. So I want us to run this program in a way that we'll be entering the base number. Our program will be taking in the base number and the power from us. So it's not like, it won't be a static number like we wrote here, 3,4. So we'll be the one to be entering the base number and the power number ourselves, and it will be calculating it for us. We'll be doing the exponential work for us. So thanks for today. So I wish every one of us best of luck. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.